Welcome to the 2026 Retiree Workshop. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. First and foremost, on behalf of Lasers, we want to thank all of our retirees for attending this morning. And also, you laid the groundwork for this generation of state employees and employees of the future. So I strongly believe that service to the public is among the most noble, worthy, and important professions out there. So everyone in this room and online should be thanked and recognized for their service. My name is John Pennegy. I'm a retirement benefit specialist here at Lasers, and I've been here for 22 years at Lasers. But I'm really looking forward to, in the next maybe decade, being on that side of the podium and sitting here with y'all and enjoying the refreshments and all that. So one day, and that's why we have a great system, so I will be here with you in just a few years. So a few things before we start. This is both an in-person and an online virtual event. So due to the volume of our online participants, all of our webinar attendees will be muted during the workshop. Webinar attendees can access today's PowerPoint by clicking on the bottom of their screen, selecting Resources. All the PowerPoints from today's presentation will be available on the Lasers website, and a recording of today's presentation will be posted on the website soon. So anybody in person will be able to access it, and then all of our attendees will be able to access it as well. Online attendees can submit your questions through Zoom Q&A feature. If we are unable to answer your question during the workshop, a Lasers representative will contact you afterwards. For those of you attending in person, of course, restrooms are located outside. We have refreshments available, coffee, water, and we'll be taking a break hopefully around 10:15 or so you can enjoy more and also talk to our representatives. So in the interest of time, we are also asking the in-person attendees to save your questions until the end of each presentation if there are any, and then of course our partners and staff will be available to speak to you privately if you have any of those questions. So we do have our folder, and just a few things that I want to point out in our folder that is there. You should have gotten the presentation as a separate handout. So pardon the staple issue, my printer hates me. It's been 22 years of a love-hate relationship with that thing. So we have the agenda, of course, and on the side where your agenda is, we also have an online resources page with a little QR code so that you can access our online resources. I have a My Lasers presentation in there. We're not going to go over that, but it's good detail, kind of walks you through it. On that side is also the feedback survey, which you can submit at the end of the presentation. On the other side of your folder, I have a My Lasers sheet, a little card that'll help you. How many people in here have a My Lasers account? Awesome. If you don't, or if you're not sure if you do, we have our staff over here that will help you to discover if you have one and if you have any questions. I also have Get the Facts information about Lasers. It's a really great thing. Pension myths versus reality. You have people who are like, oh yeah, the pension drains so much money from the state. Here's the facts. We just listen to us. Lasers benefits Louisiana. That is how Louisiana, it does benefit from our state retirees. And then also a member forums handout. And lastly, I'd like to make some introductions so that you know some of these faces in the room. Of course, we have our executive division. We have Trey Boudreaux, our executive director, Travis McElwain, our chief of staff, Matt Labriere, the chief administrative officer, Tina Britt, our executive counsel. Our trustee public information division is handling most of the tech stuff today. Mallory Sharp, our public information director, Michelle LaBeouf, public information officer, Mart Diaz is on the camera, and Lauren Cotton is one of our project managers, and she is handling so much. In member services, we have Carla Welches, one of our benefits managers, Wendy Kinchin, who will be speaking later from our education department, and Carlos Jones, a specialist. And then we have our superheroes in the building. We have our IT support, Logan Davis, and Angelo Minner is our building hero who will, if anything goes wrong, he will come out and fix it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Trey Boudreaux for some information on what's been going down with Lasers.
Thank you, John. Good morning. Big crowd today. Double, I think, from last year. And online, we have over 400 registered. So thank you all for showing up and participating. Hear the good news of lasers. Actually, we do have good news to tell you. First off, we have somewhat of a birthday celebration for us this month, this year. It's our 80th anniversary of existence, and so we've come a long way in those 80 years. And if you noticed, have seen emails or through our social media, if you have that, we've been pushing some updates and some good news about the 80 years and how we've been shaped by different participants and different members along the way. So join us as we celebrate 80 years and hopefully in perpetuity. Now for the good news, real good news. Preliminarily, June 30th, our investment return was 18.2%. So it was a rough year. If you looked at in March, we were standing at about 5%. So we held on tight, and Bobby Bill and our CIO and his staff has done a tremendous job in pulling us out and have a successful market return of 18.2, which should benefit us on our actuarial return. And I won't get into the actuarial science of things and how we smooth, but we're looking for a positive actuarial return. So those of you who have the old drop will have good news when that comes around. Another wonderful event that happened this past session is that the legislature, and we appreciate, was able to get 145 million additional dollars to pay off the IUAL, which was recognized in 1988 for the creation in 46 until 88. The state decided what they were going to pay and how much they're going to pay. If we asked them or required to pay 10%, they would pay 4, 5, 6, whatever they felt like, whatever the budget would justify for them. So in 1988, they passed a constitutional amendment to recognize that debt, and we have been on a schedule to pay it off since that time. And thankfully, this session, we were able to finish paying it off, which is good news, which I'll talk about in a second. But it will help us position us for COLAs in the future. Right now, we're staying, or as of June 30th, we stood at 17 billion as our fund value. With this 18.2% return, we should be north of 18 billion. So looking up, our current funded ratio right now is 74.5, but again, with the additional positive returns, we should see that north of 75. So good things happening. COLAs. Okay, over 45,000 people this year were eligible to receive a COLA on July 1st. We were fortunate that we had a good return last year and were able to pay that out in a COLA. The old funding mechanism for the COLA with the experience account, which is the shared, when you share investment returns for the experience account and paying off debt, is now that the IUL is paid off, is going away, and the new COLA funding mechanism, it will be in place. So the funds from this year, the investment returns from this year, will now be going into the dedicated fund for COLA. So if you heard us over the last couple of years, once we were able to pass this legislation, it would looking for possibly 2030 to be the first initial COLA with this. Hopefully, with the onset of paying off, we can achieve that much earlier than anticipated, maybe in the next couple of years. So hopefully that'll be a more stable, more regular COLA. It is going to be different rules. It's going to be age 62, 2 years retirement, and it's going to be capped at your 60,000. But when in place, it should be a more reliable COLA every 2 to 3 years, capped at 2%. So good news, moving in the right direction. We've noticed that a lot of, as you age, I don't see anybody in the room that would fit this, but as you age and you have family members who are calling on your behalf to try to gather information about your benefit, we are restricted from talking to them. So just something to think about, to have a power of attorney on file that will give those individuals, your loved ones, the ability to gather information about you and help handle your affairs as that happens years from now for all of you. Just a quick couple of important reminders. The weapon GPO was repealed in 2025, so that is tremendous news for all of our hardworking state workers who evidently the federal government thought that they would penalize for the lavish benefits that we've have. I've yet to meet one of those individuals who have these lavish benefits. Our average benefit is about $26,000 a year, so that's a far cry from being lavish. But fortunately, the federal government has eliminated the weapon GPO. So if you have your quarters out there, please don't call us. Call Social Security and get that information straight, or go out and start a new career and get that Social Security benefit going. Make sure that you stay cyber safe, cyber aware. If you have anything that's claiming to be from lasers and it wants you to click a link or something, just make sure that you call us. Just make sure that that's something that we pushed, or we don't do that very often, if at all. So last thing we want is something for y'all to be phished and create an issue for you financially or otherwise. Important reminders, they give me all the hard stuff to talk about, Weekend and holiday payments, August 1st, this weekend falls on a weekend. So if we send your payment to the bank, if you do not receive or the bank does not make those funds available, contact us and we'll send a letter to the bank to help you try to get that corrected in the future. Next one is going to be November 1st, so August and November would be the two holiday payments. You heard Jean talk about My Lasers. It's a good informational gathering opportunity for you. We're starting to, hopefully in the near future, be able to have that be more meaningful and have access more forms on it. But it's just a good information to gather some of your documents there in a secure environment. Lasers Online, that's our website. You can gather a good information about in the retiree sections about what I talked about, the COLAs, about those funding mechanisms, the Medicare, information about that, unclaimed property, and just frequently asked questions. And all the information from the workshop today is going to be on there. And that concludes my comments. I just want to say thank you, all of you, for your sacrifice and your service to the state of Louisiana. We appreciate that. Hopefully, one day very soon, I'll be joining y'all.
All right. Good morning. I'm Tina Grant. I'm the Executive Counsel here at Lasers, and I'm going to do a pretty simple legislative update for you. It's scary to me to think that I'm talking about this past session, but in my head, I'm already gearing up for 2027. All right. So, as many of you probably know, our Board of Trustees will take positions on bills. We track and monitor any and all pieces of legislation that may have some type of impact on lasers. And so we do a good job, I think, of watching that and trying to think ahead and see what the consequences could be of a particular piece of legislation. So this past year, our board took a position on 18 bills. We opposed 3 of them. We supported 6. And we remain neutral on 9 of them. And so this is a little scorecard card just showing you of the bills we took a position on, what ultimately happened to them. So you'll see of the 3 that we actually opposed, only 1 was enacted. So we fought, but we didn't win on that one. All right, so but overall, I'm here to tell you that we had a very, very successful legislative session. And as Trey mentioned, 2 big pieces of legislation were advanced, and we consider them major victories. So, as mentioned, Act 280 delivered the first COLA to Lasers retirees since 2016. Been a while, as you all know. And then Act 961, this I think is even the bigger win of those two. We received an appropriation of $145 million, and the significance, as Trey said, it paid off completely the IUAL. Let's talk about that. The IUAL is the initial unfunded accrued liability. That is a debt owed to lasers, okay? It is not a debt as a result of mismanagement of lasers, us not doing our job. I think sometimes people hear that and they think we've done something wrong. We have not. As Trey mentioned, we were created in 1946. And at that time, the state of Louisiana did not necessarily pay us what we should have received. They decided for other reasons, perhaps to fund other things, that, well, no, maybe you're telling me you need 10%, but I'm just going to pay you 4%. And so that deficit is the unfunded accrued liability, and it's the initial one, meaning from the day we were born, 1946, until that constitutional amendment in 1987. So that was a big chunk of change that the state owed us. And as a result, that is why you heard so much grief and angst from the employing agencies of what they had to pay in for your retirement. But understand that the vast majority of whatever that employer contribution rate has been was to cover that unfunded liability. The cost of your benefit is only about 4%. So if the employer was paying 30%, the rest of that was to cover the debt, right? So now, as we move forward, sure, there's still going to be some unfunded liability that we have to address, but that big initial one is now gone. And as a result, that means the employers aren't having to pay as much in. The employer contribution rate will fall. So it's a big deal, and I can't emphasize that enough. It is a major, major win for the system. All right, so let's talk specifically about the COLA. As most of you know, it authorized a 2% COLA for eligible retirees and their beneficiaries. And so keep in mind, I know lots of questions and issues pop up, but when we have to figure out what can we afford, we have to play with all kinds of factors to determine how can we do this. And so that is why there are age limitations on it. There's a requirement that you have to have been retired. All of those things come into play so that we can give you the biggest bang for the buck. Because understand, the state of Louisiana itself did not fund your COLA. We did. We have to go to the legislature. They have to grant it. That's in law. Only they can grant it. We fund it. So they like to say, we got you a COLA, whatever. But we, Lasers, got you the COLA because our investment staff is amazing and we put up returns like 18.2%, right? So, and the other good thing I want to hit too is that understand that this COLA that you just got, that's coming from the old law, if you will, the way that we have been funding COLAs. But 3 years ago, if you remember, we passed legislation and Lasers and the other systems worked together to get it done to do a better job with how COLAs are actually funded. As Trey mentioned, under the old way, we had to share our investment returns with paying down the debt, and then we put them in the rest in this experience account, but it was sort of spread out over time. It was more of like an indirect funding of COLA. Think about buying something with a credit card. You bought it, but you had to pay for it over time. In 2023, we changed that funding mechanism, and so now it's going to be a direct fund, meaning cash, and we're sticking it in a COLA fund, and as that accumulates and we feel like there's enough to fund a COLA, then we can fund it. And the way we get that cash, and that's why this other bill that paid down the debt is so important, as the employer contribution rate falls due to debt being paid down, the new law allows us to capture a percentage of that. We max out at 2.5%, but that that 2.5% goes straight into a COLA funding account. And as that builds and builds, then we can fund a COLA. So the whole idea and the premise behind that new method is so that we can pay you all more consistent, reliable COLAs. The hope being that every 2 years or so, there is enough money to do so. And again, that depends upon our returns, how well are we doing. So it's positive, folks. It's positive. So, feel good about it because I think moving forward, it's our hope and belief that it will be more consistent and more regular. All right, what else are we going to talk about? Just to remind you, if the way the old COLA and going forward is going to be a little different. So what you all received right now is based on the following method where you had to be 60, you had to have been retired at least 1 year. It was based, you could only get it up to 2% of, well, this was 81,000, but it's attached to that CPIU, the Consumer Price Index. And as I mentioned, it hasn't been very frequent, right? It's been since 2016. Going forward, the age is different, but keep in mind that now when you come to work for the state of Louisiana, your age of eligibility is 60 or 62. So that's why when we're trying to figure out the cost and how we can do it, that's why now you're going to see it's going to be 62 years of age, retired at least 2 years. The 2% is going to be up to the first 60,000. So again, all of those factors come into place because we're not trying to, hurt someone by not allowing them to get a COLA. We're trying to get the biggest bang for our buck because, again, as I said, we pay for it. All right, and then lastly, a few other bills that I guess I can mention. We talked about the payment, the supplemental appropriation. Act 606 proposes a constitutional amendment, so that's going to be put to the voters, to remove the requirement that new money be applied to the oldest UAL. That's retirement actuary speak for it. We want to be able to let our actuaries figure out where to put the money, what debt gives us the biggest bang for our buck to pay off. And the same with some of those others. Act 230. Here's one, Act 198. The RSEA license plate, the law was changed so that the proceeds are taken away from lasers and go to the RSEA. And our board was fine with it because we had not gotten one dime from it. So we thought 0 from 0 is nothing. So it's fine. You can have it, right? But hopefully they'll get it going, and that would be a good way to generate some funds for the RSEA that they do a lot for you all. Again, okay, that's it. So certainly if you have any questions or you want any specific information about a particular act, feel free to reach out to us. Yes, ma'am.
What was the one that we proposed
that made it through?
Yeah.
It was a bill that impacted judges. It was, long story short, it was there's some other legislation that was abolishing some judicial seats, primarily in Orleans Parish, and so this bill created backdrop for some of those judges that were going to be forced out, but there was a provision in that act that would allow others to immediately vest and immediately be able to retire, even though they didn't meet the appropriate age and years of service eligibility requirements. And we didn't like that. That's just, wait a minute. It's a benefit for life. And so we certainly made that point and gave them an example of, what do you understand that maybe it's not a big benefit, but it's for the rest of that person's life, and they were not eligible. So our board opposed that, but that went through. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So, you had on the slide about you have to be 62,
Mm-hmm.
and you get it's on the first 60,000. What went into that? Will that change
No, that is in law.
Is in law?
That is the new funding mechanism, and so that is in law. The 60,000, just picking that flat figure is just a little easier as opposed to tying it to the CPIU. It was just actuarially better, and allowed us to control the cost a little better. So. Yeah. That was the whole idea. The premise of the new method was to create more reliable, consistent COLAs. And that was part of the deal of doing that, right? So instead of waiting 10 years for a COLA, you're going to get one sooner, more frequently, but not going to affect as much of your benefit. You see what I'm saying? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? All right, well, rest easy knowing that the 2027 session's coming. We will do our job. We fight for you. We pay attention to what's being put before us. But, as retirees, keep in mind, your benefit is set, right? It's the new people that sometimes they want to mess with, and we have to watch that, right? But it's what you have is a contract between you and the state of Louisiana, and it's actually in our Constitution. So rest easy, you're good, but you also have us looking at everything to make sure you're good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina, and thank you, Trey. One thing we always say at Lasers is that we've always been pretty lucky to have a really supportive executive staff. They make the rounds every now and then and check in on us, and so we get to interact with them, everyone in the building, from the analysts to the exec. So we're going to turn to our community partners, our state partners now. Retirement is not just Lasers. We work very closely with several different agencies, and we're happy to have had some of them join us today. So what we're going to do is allow for them to give you updates on their particular agency, on any programs that they have, any potential travel opportunities coming up. And so just a few minutes for them to talk. We are going to ask that you hold questions. We're going to give our in-person attendees the chance to visit during the break and afterwards. I know a lot of them, if they don't have meetings this afternoon, are happy to be here as long as you need them. And then, we'll provide contact information for them on our website later on. So first up, our Public Information Director, Wendy Landry, with the Office of Group Benefits. I know that's always a big one. So she will provide updates, and again, we'll just allow her to give her some time.
Thanks, Sean. Again, my name is Wendy Landry. I'm the Public Information Director with the Office of Group Benefits. You've probably seen me at RSEA meetings, the OGB retiree annual enrollment meetings. My job is to make sure that you have the information that you need. I really don't have any new updates for annual enrollment. We are in blackout period for several things, so I don't have, not that I'm trying to keep it from you, I don't have it. State procurement law prevents them from giving it to me until a contract is signed. So, but rest easy, you will have insurance in January. I can tell you that the dates have been set for the annual enrollment meetings for this October, and I do have those schedules on my table over there, so feel free to come by and get one. That way you can come and get all of your annual enrollment information then. A few other things, and if you've heard this already, I'm sorry, you're going to hear it again. We do have a new partner for the Live Better Louisiana program. So who here gets their annual wellness, gets their $10 a month? Good. Well, we've partnered starting in March with Ochsner. to start doing those clinics for us. We have been getting really good feedback from that. By switching to Ochsner, we are also saving taxpayers a couple $1 million a year just by doing that, and we're keeping jobs in the state of Louisiana. So again, nothing's really changed on that except the fact that Ochsner is now the provider, and there is a new. Didn't bring it up here with me. There is a new PCP form. Oh, here it is. So you now need the one that has Ochsner on it. The Catapult one is no longer any good. If you did fill out a Catapult one before March, that is still acceptable because they were our partner until March 1st. Ochsner is doing a really great job of scheduling clinics across the state for our members. And they are trying to do more that are open to not just employees of a agency, but to retirees as well. They are working to do some very specific retiree clinics. But, if you can't make it to one of their clinics, you can still take the form to your doctor. You can still take the form to an Access Today clinic and get them to do it for you. Also, Louisiana Blue has a new mobile app called My LA Blue. And I do have a flyer on this on my table. Some pretty cool things about this. Who here uses MyChart to communicate with their doctor? This is the same platform as MyChart. So when you log into MyChart, it interacts with it. So you can track your insurance activity through the app. You can see how much of your deductible you've met, how much of your out-of-pocket maximum you've met, how much something's going to cost, like a procedure. You can connect securely with customer service through the app. So, like with MyChart, you send your doctor a message and they get back with you. Same concept with Blue Cross. You just send so that you don't have to stand and sit on the phone with customer service. You can just shoot them a message through the app, just like you would your doctor in MyChart. You can search in-network providers and select a primary care provider through the app. One of my favorite things, and I've had to use this, was you can check the status of your prior authorization. I had to have a CT scan done. And I called my doctor and they're like, well, I called Blue Cross and I'm like, hey, I need to have this done. And they're like, well, we're waiting on your doctor to send over the prior authorization to us. So I was able to get onto MyChart and say, hey, you need to send this on because you ordered it. And within 24 hours, I had my CT scan scheduled. So that's really cool that you can check in and see where the status of that prior authorization is. You can also download your ID card to the app. So it's kind of like the LA wallet. You forgot your wallet at home, but hey, you have your phone. You've got your Blue Cross card on your phone. And this one's pretty important too, especially for me. I have a daughter who is going to UAB for college in Birmingham. And since she's an adult, I don't have access to her stuff anymore. But through the LA Blue app, she is able to give me access to her insurance information. Same goes if you have an elderly parent or you want one of your family members to have access to that in case of an emergency. You can give them access through the app to where they can access your benefit information. So kind of like a power of attorney, so to speak, for your insurance information through Blue Cross. So I do have an information flyer on that on my table. And that's pretty much all I have for right now. So if there are any questions, I can take some real quick. Yes.
You mentioned a power of attorney for lasers. Do you guys have a power of attorney
Yes.
as well?
Yes, we highly encourage you to, her question was, do we require power of attorney? Yes. And we have those forms on our website. We encourage you to get those filled out. We can use one of my coworkers as an example. Her mom is starting to deal with dementia. So she had to get that filled out so that she can talk to, even though she works for OGB, and we still have to follow HIPAA guidelines, so she can talk to us about her mom's insurance. So. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My wife is on the policy with me.
Uh-huh.
Do we each need a separate power of attorney for this? Or since she is one of the authorized viewers or whatever it's called?
I believe we need one for both of you. But you can call customer service and double check me on that. They will definitely know or can get the answer pretty quickly for you. Anyone else? Awesome. Well, I will be at my table if you have some more personal questions, and I can look up your accounts and try to give you information if you have specific questions. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Wendy. That's another great benefit, of course, y'all know, as retirees. And I always tell our younger state employees, you know, having health benefits was really probably the reason why I took a job with the state. And of course, all the other stuff is amazing too. So next we have Tammy Wolf, an insurance specialist with SHIIP, the Senior Health Insurance Assistance Program. I know we've had a couple of presenters in the past who've given a lot of good information, and a lot of people don't realize the services that they provide. So Tammy will kind of give you some information on that. And then
the microphone today. Hi, everybody. My name is Tammy. I work for the Senior Health Information Program of state of Louisiana. Every state has a SHIIP program. It's a federally granted funded program. So we kind of help do like Medicare counseling. We can assist with. Oh, is that better? Yeah. I was like, I sound a little mousy. I need to fix that. But thank you. No, but we help with Medicare counseling. We can assist with some low-income subsidies, applications for Social Security for help with medications. Open enrollment is coming for us. Open enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. So we will be pretty busy during that time, but we can review plans for you, do Medicare Advantage plans, comparisons, explain Medigap policies. What I want to reiterate, though, is that if you guys do have an OGB policy, and you do want to switch to a Medicare Advantage program that is not affiliated with OGB, you will not be able, you're going to get kicked off OGB. So just keep that in mind. I know this time of year, a lot of scam calls are coming through. Just kind of be aware of that. I don't want anybody to be affected by that one. And just always consult your current insurance provider to make sure that that's not, hey, I'm calling you for that $2,000 food card, and that's, obviously a scam. So we're non-biased. We're not affiliated with any insurance companies at all. So essentially, we're just trying to get you the best value for whatever plan would fit you best, whether it be traditional original Medicare or a Medicare Advantage plan. We try to help everybody get the best that they can get that year for the plan and save the most money that they can. But again, if you guys have OGB insurance, please check with OGB first to make sure that that Advantage plan is affiliated with them. I don't want you to lose their coverage and get mixed up with something on the phone. So do you guys have any quick questions for me, or come visit me at my booth during our break? Or okay, well, I will see you in a little bit. Thank you so much.
thank you, Tammy. My first experience with SHIIP was actually, I went to a friend's church program, and they had a speaker from there, and we were like, that would be really good for state employees. And then I find out, they're with the Department of Insurance. Okay, so we started getting them to come and inform y'all. You're welcome. So next up we have Empower. We have Chad Anderson. Also, we have other representatives today. We have Sean, who I just noticed is here. Hi, Sean. And Jackie might have disappeared to get, she's hiding somewhere. So if you need anything during the break or anything, those three will help you out. But we'll get Chad to come up and do some Empower information and updates. So Empower is the company that oversees the self-directed plan for the drop and IBO accounts for those people who are required to enroll in that, and also the deferred compensation.
Thank you. All right, thank you all for coming out today. Again, my name is Chad Anderson. I'm a retirement plan advisor with Empower. We work for Louisiana Deferred Compensation. There's 7 of us across the states, so you can do a virtual appointment with us. But Shannon Wheeler covers everything north of Alexandria. Alan Berard covers everything west of the Chapalaya, all the way to the Texas state line to Alexandria. There's 4 of us in the Baton Rouge area because of population, me, Sean, Jackie, and Dedrick Lewis is not here, but Dedrick, he had another appointment. And then we have one in New Orleans. His name is Will Paree. Will got promoted, so he moved, so the New Orleans office is vacant right now. We're covering down the 4 of us are in Baton Rouge until he gets somebody hired. The biggest updates I got since the last time I saw y'all were we've had a new dashboard. So if you get online and you look at your phone or whatever, it's a new platform. It's new. Some of it's supposedly more intuitive, but it's changed like everything else. So it's kind of, takes a little bit to navigate around it, but it is there. We also incorporated a thing called Wealth Solutions. It's another branch of Empower and us. And what the Wealth Solutions does is they do everything that we don't do. Individual stocks, brokerage accounts, consolidating accounts. They do tax guidance, estate planning. They do it all. So it is part of us. It is a benefit for y'all as well as state employees. So just know that's out there. They also have an Empower Cash account now. It's paying 3.3%. So they added that. You can see that on your dashboard as well. Another thing that's been coming up is retirees. Y'all can stay with Empower because you leave the state. Y'all don't have to leave us. It's a benefit that y'all have to be with the Louisiana Deferred Compensation and with us. You can talk to any of us, any of the licensed financial advisors for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and that can stay with you. You can meet with us. We can talk about asset allocation, risk tolerance, your account, how it's invested. That's free for you for the rest of your life as long as you have money in the account. So I had a few questions about that this week. There's been a few changes to the staff as well. If any of y'all knew or met before, Rich Massengill was our director. He got promoted as well, and now Jennifer Householder is our new director. So she's in charge of us now. So just a little change there if you've ever met Rich in the past. Tell you about the new employee. Oh, also, if you move your drop account, so I know a lot of people, they go after state employees, and it's your money, you do what you want to do with it. However, if you move your 401A drop account, the tax exempt benefit that you have on your account, you lose it when you move it to somebody else. Schwab, Fidelity, Edward Jones, whoever. That tax exempt status that you have to not pay any state tax on your withdrawals, if you move that money out, you don't have that anymore. It's gone. So you pay state tax and you pay federal tax on that. Now, on your 457, it doesn't matter. You pay state and federal anyway. But just know that on your 401A, on your drop account, if you move it, you lose your tax exempt status. Also, don't forget either, RMDs kick in at 73 and a half. So there've been a few tax changes. Before it was a different age. It was 69, it was 70, it was 71. They moved it. Currently, with Secure 2.0, the last legislation that was passed, you have to start taking the RMDs at 73 and a half. So you can just call us, get with us, we'll set you up and figure that math out so you don't get penalized. Also know that if you don't need the money and you have to take it, you can also roll that to the Wealth Solutions part, and that's another way for you to still keep the money invested. Even though you have to take it, you could take it and then reinvest it, it can still make more money for you. Just that's a couple of options that you didn't have before that you got now that we have the Wealth Solutions piece. Also, we can meet in person in the Baton Rouge office. We have an office on Bluebonnet. You can see us. And like I said, there's virtual appointments as well. There's 7 of us, but we're right here on Bluebonnet if you want to meet in person, or if you live out in anywhere away from Baton Rouge and you want to meet in person, we can do that too. You just need to call the appropriate that covers your area and will take care of you. So, that's all I had. Any questions?
We have a question from an online attendee.
All right.
Can part of the deferred comp or drop be taken or used to buy an annuity prior to retiring?
Can buy what?
To buy an annuity?
Annuity. Prior to retirement, no. Once you retire, that's the easiest thing. Once you've been gone for 30 days, you can do what you want to do with your money. It's your money. You can take it. You can spend it. They could buy an annuity. They could do what they want to do. But prior to retirement, no, the funds are locked up. Yes, ma'am.
The age, for,
73 and a half. You have to take it. Okay, the question was, what age do you have to take the required minimum distributions? And the age that you have to start taking distributions is age 73 and a half. 73 and a half. I'd recommend that you come in as early as before the year starts, because they can do the calculations. It depends on your birthday. Obviously, like mine's in August, so I could have started in January or February of the year I turn, and there's time. But if you're in the beginning of the year or sometime, I'd come about 6 months, 8 months early, so that you can see how much it is you have to take, because there's a mathematical calculation that has to be done. They'll do that, decide how much it is. Then you could decide, it gives you a chance also to decide what you want to do with the money. Obviously, you could take it, you can go on vacation if you want or whatever. But if not, if you want to do something else with it, it gives you a chance to plan prior to just having to take it. Any other questions? Online? All right. Again, my name's Chad Anderson. Like I say, there's 7 of us. We all work together. So if you have any questions, please call us, schedule an appointment. We'd love to talk to you. And again, congratulations for being a state employee. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. So we're here for you not only to retirement, but through retirement as well. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Chad. Just a little tip that I usually tell people that I speak to on the phone or in person or an email is if you need to speak to Empower, call that local number in Baton Rouge. I know even if you're a nationwide, just the number will be on the website, but I recommend calling Baton Rouge or calling the Louisiana office because you're speaking to one of us. You're speaking to someone that knows the plan. They know what lasers is immediately, as opposed to their national offices in Denver with extremely helpful people, but they may have to kind of dig down a little bit to remember our little amazing plan down here. So next up we have Jimmy Anthony with RSEA. How many people in here are members of RSEA? Great, perfect. So he's going to speak to you about some updates and kind of what they do and how they help out. And hopefully if you're not a member yet, you'll be joining by the end of the day.
Thank you, John. Wow, that's a lot of members out there. Thank you for being a member. Any of those that are not, I hope after today you will sign up. It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. It's just $18 a year, and you can have it deducted from your lasers account. We have such great partners, so they will take $1.50 a month and give it to us. 70% of our people do their dues that way. You never forget to write that check. You don't have to pull out your credit card. For those of you who don't know who we are a membership-driven nonprofit. Our mission is to make your life better in retirement. Plain and simple. Unlike Lasers OGB, we can lobby. They can only provide information. We can twist arms. And the best arm we got is you. And we've used you several times. I can remember when there was going to be a supplemental plan that you were going to have to buy, and you had no choice of supplemental plans. It was going to be one. We like choices. Currently, you have supplemental plans, 3 or 4. Am I right, Wendy? But that legislation looked like it had a chance, so we called you or emailed you. We asked you to call your representative, your senator, tell them that was bad for you. And y'all answered the call. You did what you're supposed to do. I had legislatures calling me saying, call off your dogs. They tied up my email. They busted my phone off. Tell them to stop. That legislation's going nowhere. You killed it, not us. But we have done a lot of things for you. And Lasers is not the only one celebrating a milestone this year. RSEA has been around for 60 years. 60 years we've been making the lives of our retirees better. And what was one of our major wins? Anybody want to guess? Back during the Bobby General administration, they passed a law that was changing our retirement. It was going to severely cut our pension. And we fought it. We went all the way to the Supreme Court and won. Your retirement is today what it is because RSEA stood up for you. We've also preserved your 3% tax exemption on your pension. There's been several moves to try to take that away from us, and we fought it. And we were involved in the WIP GPO. There were people who told us, you're never going to win. Impossible. But we didn't give up, and we won. How many of y'all were affected by that? 100,000 people in the state of Louisiana, 3 million people across the nation have benefited from that legislation being repealed. I had someone tell me right after that, what are y'all going to do now? You got nothing left. Close your doors. Well, that doesn't work. Social Security Trust Fund is diminishing. It's going to go down to zero in a few years. Doesn't mean you're not going to get Social Security, but you're going to be cut by 20 or 25% unless something is done. We have engaged with Bill Cassidy before he got defeated. He had a bill that he was going to introduce that would shore up the trust fund. There are Democratic legislation right now in Washington, D.C. to shore up the trust fund. However, as y'all know, it's not bipartisan because it's got a Democratic author. Politics always seems to get in the way, but we're going to do it. We're going to work with our legislators at the Washington level and try to get this shored up. Because the last time we were in this shape, guess what happened? Web GPO came about. That's how they solved it. We don't want to have the same outcome again. So we want to sit at the table so that we can have input in what and how that's going to be fixed. So keep us around, please. I want y'all to know I'm a state retiree. Our board of directors are all state retirees. We're in the same boat. We're paddling together. So I just want you to know that we're not here with an agenda other than what's good for you. With that being said, I told you $1.50 a month. We're going to have to go up on our dues. We haven't had an increase in dues in 17 years. The last one was in 2010. And the cost of living has gone up 154%. We can't keep those doors open. We can't keep the lights on unless we do. So we're going to $24 a year, $2 a month. So don't get rid of us just because you don't think you can afford 50 cents. You got a COLA this year, right? And I just wanted to mention, Tina talked about the RSEA plate. We changed where the money's going. Initially, all the money from selling the plates would go to lasers. Specifically, it was supposed to go to pay off the UAL. Now that the UAL is about to be paid off, there was no place for that money to go. Even if it was collected, it would sit there. So we were going to have to address that one way or another sooner or later. And hopefully we'll have it up and running in about 2 years. So think about getting it specialty plate RSEA. Money goes to help you. All right. Thank you. Any questions?
What does it look like?
It hasn't been designed yet. Yeah, we're going to start working on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jimmy. If y'all haven't been to the RSEA conference or the RSEA meetings that they have every year, they are very informative and also a really good time. I always enjoy meeting retirees there. I like watching the connections of people that haven't seen each other in a while. I know that we have some former colleagues here today, so whenever you get to see those people and, you know, like when the party arrives, whenever someone walks in the door, so highly recommend joining and attending those. So we will go ahead and take about a 15-minute break. Highly encourage you to speak to our partners. Also, again, we have Wendy and Carlos with Lasers who are here. If you want to check if you have that My Lasers account, we're here for questions. I just refreshed the snacks, and the coffee should be done by now. So we'll be back about 10:15. So next up, we're going to have our presenter, Wendy Kenshin. She is a retirement benefits supervisor in the Lasers Education Department. She has been, I'm sure before you retired, a lot of you actually saw her or Carlos or myself doing presentations across the state. So she will come and talk to you and give you some important information, some reminders, some refreshers, things. And then, of course, afterwards, we will leave some time for question and answers, and again, more time for you to have with our partners. So we are moving a little bit ahead of schedule, so that gives a little bit more time to hang out with us. So without further ado, it is Wendy Kenshin.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Hi, as John said, my name is Wendy Kenshin. I'm a retirement benefits supervisor here at Lasers. I want to welcome those of you who are here in person. It's nice to see faces. It's nice to see smiles, head shakes when somebody is getting it right or agrees. And also, thank you for those of you online who are making the effort to attend, even though you couldn't be here in person. So hopefully you're going to get a lot of information, valuable information out of this presentation. We will have questions and answers. I just wanted to let the people online know that if we have a question from an in-person attendee, I will repeat the question before I answer it so that those of you online can know or will know what the question is that I'm answering. And then we don't have to run around with the microphone and chase our in-person attendees down. So, retirement does not end your relationship with Lasers, right? It just changes it. And so there's a lot of takeaways that we hope that you're going to get from today's presentation. A lot of these topics are going to be familiar because a lot of the topics are the same. They don't change, but the processes, the forms, the circumstances, those type things change. And so we're going to focus today on the information that you, our retirees, are going to need the most. So you'll know when action is needed, and you'll know how to go about to take that action or to find the information or resources that you need for that action. The path that we're going to follow today is we're going to talk about our online resources. Then we're going to come up with some information about keeping your monthly benefit on track. Then we're going to cover requesting documents, receiving documents, any other request, and then life changes, because life changes, right? And you never know when. So the easiest way for you to stay informed and stay up to date and current with Laser's information is through our website, through email updates, through My Lasers. So it's 3 different methods. All 3 used together are going to make sure that you have the information that you want and that you need. The website is the best starting point. So you can use our website to get the latest information on legislation updates, forms, publications, resources. So all of that information is available on our website. If you want to look at who our board of trustees are, if you want to look at investments, you can do all of that from the website. If you have questions, you can go through Ask Lasers, or you can use your My Lasers. The website is going to be how you find the information. Email updates, that's going to be how the information finds you. So be sure to sign up for emails. We do not phish, we do not spam. If we send an email, it is because it is relevant to you as a Lasers member, as a Lasers retiree. So if you see an email from Lasers, rest assured it is not going to be spam. It's going to be valuable information. It is very important and a top priority of Lasers to make sure that all of your information is secure, is safe, and is protected. So just trust in that and know that anything that you do online, through your My Lasers account, through the website, emails, it's all very secure. And if you sign up for those emails, you'll stay up to date and current. And so if you're wanting to just get general information, that's where the website comes into play, or those email updates that we blast out. If you want to get very personalized information or information about your personal account, that's where My Lasers comes into play. And I know Jean asked earlier, how many of you have a My Lasers account? I think we saw a good number of hands. Awesome, awesome. I can't see those of you online, but for those of you who have My Lasers accounts already, awesome. For those of you who do not, doesn't make you wrong. It just means you have homework. Create that My Lasers account, set it up. Again, secure, personalized access to your information with Lasers. When you create that My Lasers account, or when you set that My Lasers account up, you are going to want to use your personal email address. Again, not for phishing or spam, but because if you use your work email and you retire and you no longer have access to that work email, you'll no longer have access to your My Lasers account. So it's very important that when you create your My Lasers account, that you set it up with an email that you expect to stay active and you expect to keep for a long time. When I say this, the question then becomes, what if I already created my Lasers account and I used a work email or an email that I'm not always going to have access to? You can have it changed. You can have it updated or corrected. You will have to contact Lasers. You can either go through Ask Lasers from the Lasers website, or you can call and speak to someone in our customer service department and let them know you signed up or you created your My Lasers account with an email address that you need to update or change. What they'll do is they will delete the registration with the incorrect email. It's not going to delete your account. It's not going to delete your information. It's just going to delete that registration information. They will send a link to you through the email, and you just create a new account, a new user ID, a new login, and you'll use that new email address. So if you already used an address that you know you're going to lose access to at some point, and or you just want to change it, you can do that by contacting us directly and just letting us know. My Lasers is worth using. And why is it worth using? Because it gives you access to all information lasers, that your information, your personal information. You don't have to call Lasers every time. If you want to know, go to your My Lasers account and you can see right there. You can access payment history, documents, forms. There's so many things that you can do with your My Lasers that will save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of headache. So My Lasers was implemented, and it's been a really great tool for a lot of people. So it's going to give you access. So once you sign into your My Lasers account, you're going to see your dashboard. Your dashboard is kind of like your home base, right? On your dashboard, on the left-hand side, you're going to see some icons, and these are action icons. These are icons that you can click on to take certain actions. You'll also see some live tiles in the middle. So these are where you go to do the different actions that you need. If you don't see, or if it's not obvious what you're trying to do, you don't see for one of these tiles, make sure you check both the live tiles and that left-hand column, because we do have availability to do lots of different functions on our website through My Lasers. So you access those functions through the left side icons or through those live tiles. One function of My Lasers is it gives you the ability to upload documents. As retirees, this is not probably a function that you will utilize ever or a lot. However, if you need to make a change of beneficiary or something, and Lasers is requesting a copy of a Social Security card, a birth certificate, something like that, you can certainly just upload that directly to Lasers through your My Lasers account. Another function of My Lasers that as retirees you're going to find much more beneficial, much more useful, and that you will use more often, it's going to be the ability to electronically complete sign forms and submit them. So it's our e-forms. We have several different forms that you can submit electronically. We have our direct deposit account, our designation of beneficiary. If you need a verification of income, certain withdrawals, your W-4P, all of that can be submitted electronically through e-forms. Again, by submitting it electronically, it goes directly into your file and the process begins much sooner. So if you haven't checked out those e-forms, go and see what's available, and maybe that's a new way that you start submitting documents to Lasers. Also, you can submit drop withdrawal request if you are eligible to retire prior to January 1 of 2004, and you have a drop account or an IBO account that is managed here by Lasers, then you can request a withdrawal through an e-form. If you're not 100% sure that you'll know how to use or submit an e-form, we do have a little video tutorial that will help you have a better understanding. Another great benefit of My Lasers is that it provides you immediate access to records that you might otherwise have to submit a request for and wait. So you have immediate access. Payment history. If you want to see your payment history, you can go to the website, you go to My Lasers, you can download it. It can be a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet. You have access to view it, to print it, to download it right there at your fingertips. You don't have to contact Lasers, request this information, and ask that we provide it to you and wait a week or two for that request to be processed. Another very beneficial function and option that gives you immediate access is to your income verification. You will need income verifications in retirement for several different reasons, right? There's all kinds of reasons that someone may ask you for verification of your income. You used to have to submit those requests in writing to Lasers. We would process them. It would take about 2 to 3 weeks for those income verifications to be processed. You can now get them immediately through your My Lasers account. Again, you can download them, you can print them, you can view them, you can email them, right? So you don't have to wait on Lasers to send you that income verification. You have immediate access to it through your My Lasers account. And for me, someone always asks for a document at the most inopportune time, right? So it's 5:30 on Friday and somebody says, well, we're going to need a verification of your income. Lasers closed. So how do you get it? You go to your My Lasers. You have it. It's right there. Again, it gives you that immediate access. We do also accept requests for verification of income in writing and over the telephone. So you can submit in writing a request. Again, that's where you submit the request, we process it, we send the income verification out. You can also just call the office and request an income verification. If you call us and we take that request over the phone, that income verification can only be sent to the email address or to the mailing address that we have on file. If you need it sent to a different address or to a different person, you will have to submit a written request or you'll have to go to your My Lasers account and print it and provide it to that other entity. So you can request that income verification over the phone, which is new. It wasn't always the case. However, we will only be able to send it to the email address or the mailing address that we already have on file. So now let's go from the online access to keeping your benefit on track. There's a lot of different things that can make your benefit come off the tracks, right? A lot of the little things that you don't often think of or realize or remember. It just, you got busy and you forgot. It slipped your mind. So there are things that you can do to keep your benefit on track. And so if you do these small things to keep your benefit on track, it's going to prevent delays. It's going to prevent payment and processing errors. So just be cognizant of that and always make sure that your information is up to date. The absolute best thing that you can do for yourself or for Lasers is keeping your information current. You can check your information on your My Lasers account if you want to just see what information does Lasers have in the system for me. What mailing address do they have? What email address? You can go to your My Lasers account and you can check that. It is just so important that you keep that information current because it helps Lasers send correspondence, tax forms, documents. It helps us to send those to you and get them to the right place. And get them to the right place the first time. So you're not waiting on it and calling us and saying, I haven't received my tax document. And we say, well, we mailed it to this address, and that's the incorrect address. So if you just stay on top of it, maybe check it annually just to see. If you stay on top of it, it will prevent delays. And so that's a small little thing that you can do. I will tell you that keeping your information up to date is very important. However, if there are any changes that need to be made to your personal information, those changes must be requested in writing. So a lot of the changes that need to be made, there's a form on our website. We would ask that you use a Lasers form when available. Otherwise, you can submit a written request to us. That written request must include the request that you're making, the last 4 digits of your social security number. It must also have your signature. Those written requests can be mailed, they can be faxed, they can be hand delivered. But any update to personal information has to be in writing. A phone call will not be accepted. So we can accept a phone call for requests of some documents, but not for any changes to anything on your account. So just remember that. I also want to say, I've had the question a couple of times. If you update your mailing address with Lasers, that does not change or affect your direct deposit information. Additionally, if you update or change your mailing address with Lasers, it doesn't mean that you've updated your mailing address with Office of Group Benefits or vice versa, right? So, because I'll get that. They want to know why they haven't received their document, and they say, well, you mailed it to the wrong address. I called Office of Group Benefits and I changed my address. Didn't you get it? No, we did not. Lasers is not Office Group. It's just two completely different agencies, right? And we don't communicate as far as member information. So changing your email, mailing address, any of your update contact information with Lasers does not constitute a change with Office of Group Benefits, and changing that information with Office of Group Benefits does not constitute an automatic change with Lasers. So just be aware of that you do need to contact both agencies if you need to make those updates. Banking changes. Those do require written documentation and careful timing. So your direct deposit, if you need to make a change to your information for your direct deposit, timing matters. There is a form on our website. You'll get that form, you'll complete that form, you'll submit it to us, or you can submit it through the e-form. If we get that request by the 13th of the month, then that next benefit should go into that new account on the 1st of that month. So if we receive the request by the 13th of the month, then the first of the check, that benefit that comes that following first, will go into that updated account. If we receive the request after the 13th of the month, then one of two things can happen, again, depending on when we receive it. Either a paper check will be issued and put in the mail to you. That's why you need to have your address current and up to date. Or it will go into that old account. So if we've processed the check and issued it to go into that old account before we receive your request to change the account, then it's going to go to that old account. So not only does timing matter with Lasers when you make the change request, but it also matters when you close your account, that old account. So just be aware of that when you are updating any of that banking or direct deposit information. Let's now talk about the tax forms. Let's separate the different tax forms that are sometimes very confusing. Your 1099-R, that comes to you from Lasers. That is a Lasers document. You will receive it in the mail from Lasers. It's mailed out at the end of every January. It's also available on your My Lasers. And typically, it's going to be available on your My Lasers sooner than you're going to receive it in the mail. And so if it's mid-January and you're looking for your 1099-R, go check your My Lasers account, because there's a great possibility that it's going to be on that My Lasers account before it's actually put in the mail and mailed to you. The Form 1095-C, that it concerns that employer-provided health coverage. That is not a Lasers form. That is not something that we have access to. That's not something that we create or mail. That is something that comes from your last employing agency or through OSIP. You can contact either one of those if you do need that form. Your 1099-R, that is the report of what has happened. That 1099-R that you get, that's going to be that tax document that tells you what your total income was and what your total federal tax withholding were, right? The form W-4P, that is the form that is going to control what the federal tax withholdings for the next year are going to be. So your 1099-R is showing you what was withheld. That W-4P is you saying what you want withheld. And so the W-4P is, again, not a Lasers form. This is an IRS form. The W-4P is available as an e-form on our website if you are making standard withholding elections. So if you're going to make a standard withholding election, then you can complete that form and upload it to Lasers through an e-form electronically. Lasers analysts cannot advise or tell you how to complete this form for that standard deduction. You would need to contact a tax professional and they can help you or guide you. Now, if instead of making a standard withholding, you want to make a fixed or a flat dollar amount, that's going to follow a different process. And so if you're wanting a flat or fixed dollar amount, you're going to complete the W-4P. However, it cannot be submitted to Lasers electronically, and that's because of the different process. So you will have to print the W-4P out, and you're going to complete the top section where it has the identifying information. Then the next part that you're going to complete is going to be where you sign and date. So you're going to complete your identifying information at the top of the form. You are then going to sign and date the form. And then underneath your signature on that form, you're going to write the word fixed or flat, and you're going to put the dollar amount that you want to have withheld. If you have not made a change in your tax withholding since 2023, I was trying to find my words before or after 2023. In 2023, they changed the tax withholding table, how they did the withholding. More importantly, they changed the W-4P form. And so if you make a change to your tax withholding today, and you haven't made one since 2023, or you last one was before 2023, then filing single and zero, married and two, it's no longer going to be withheld in that manner. And again, that's because of the IRS, that tax table and the way that they changed it. And so if you want to change your withholding and you want to say single and zero, well, single and zero before 2023 was one amount, withholding amount. Single and zero on the current form is going to be a different amount. And we don't know the amounts, we don't calculate, we cannot calculate. So if you want to make an update, so you know what current amount is being withheld, and you wish to add $100 to that, instead of completing the form and requesting just an additional $100 be withheld, figure out what amount's being withheld currently, add the $100 or whatever additional amount you want withheld, and put that total as a fixed amount. That will save you from any kind of shock when you fill out your W-4P, you get your next benefit check, and the taxes are completely different than what you expected. So that's kind of the workaround to know and be on top of and be up to date with what your exact withholding will be. So I know that was a lot of information, but before we figured out that this was the best workaround, there were a lot of surprises after someone changed their taxes through that withholding form. Some other state and federal tax reminders are that as long as you reside in the state of Louisiana, you receive your Lasers benefit check, it is going to be Louisiana state income tax exempt. Your drop in IBO accounts that are held at Lasers, as long as you reside in the state of Louisiana, when you withdraw, they too will be Louisiana state income tax exempt. For those of you who are eligible to retire or enter drop on or after January 1 of 2004, your drop or IBO account is managed by Empower. It is in the Lasers self-directed plan. If your account stays in, or if your funds stay in that Lasers self-directed plan managed by Empower, and you reside in Louisiana, when you withdraw from those accounts, they too are going to be Louisiana state income tax exempt. So that's just something to be aware of. You can transfer, you can move those funds, you can do whatever you want with those funds. They are your funds. Just know that if you roll those funds over to another financial institution, you lose your state income tax exemption. So when Mr. Financial Advisor says, ooh, let's make us some money, right? Move all of your funds to me and we'll invest. You absolutely can, that's your right. But what Mr. Financial Advisor didn't tell you was that you are going to lose that state income tax exemption. So now when you withdraw from that financial institution, you're going to be responsible for federal and state tax. So as long as you reside in Louisiana and those funds remain in the Laser self-directed plan at Empower, Louisiana state income tax exempt. All monies are going to be considered taxable income when it comes to federal taxes. So those withdrawals, your monthly benefit, those are all going to be taxable income for federal, just not for state. Those of you that do have a drop or IBO account, whether it's here at Lasers or at Empower, you're going to want to make sure that you always comply with the required minimum distribution rules. I believe Trey mentioned it. I know Chad mentioned it. There are those required minimum distribution rules from the IRS. They say, we're ready for you to pay us our money, right? They're ready for you to pay taxes on those funds. And so the way that Lasers is going to process, if you have your funds at Lasers, middle of the year, we're going to send you a letter letting you know this is the amount of your minimum required distribution. It is going to also have a form for tax withholding. If you submit the form and just check, yes, I want the withdrawal to be made now, we'll hold 10% out. Otherwise, you can complete that tax document and request a higher withholding be done. About late November, we're going to send you another letter letting you know you either have met your minimum required or you have not. Again, we're going to ask you, do you want us to do that withdrawal for you? If you check yes and submit that form back to us, we'll do a 10% tax withholding. To request a different amount, more than, you can't request less than, but then you'll complete the form that'll be provided. If you do absolutely nothing at all, mid-December, Lasers is going to automatically issue a check for that amount, withhold 10%, and that's going to keep you in compliance with those tax rules so that you're not hit with the penalties for not taking that minimum required. The current age is 73 years old. In 2033, it will change to 75. So they are changing that date. So we talked about our online access. We talked about benefit maintenance. Now let's talk about documents, requests, contacting Lasers. I've mentioned a couple of times there are certain forms that must be submitted in writing. There are other requests that can be taken over the telephone. There are other forms and documents that you can get through your My Lasers. The method that has to be used, or the correct method of providing or requesting or accessing those forms, are going to depend on the type of request or the type of document that you're needing. So make sure you use the correct method to prevent delays, to prevent rejection of the form. So let's begin with documents that you obtain in person. Oftentimes we'll have someone come into the office and say, may I have my income verification? May I have a copy of my beneficiary form? You absolutely can come into the office and you can get any form that's in your file. We will give it, but we will only provide that form to you, the retiree, to a beneficiary of a retiree who has passed away, an informant on that retiree's death certificate, or an authorized agent under a power of attorney. So you can't call and say, I'm going to come pick up an income verification and I'm going to send my brother to get it. He doesn't qualify. We're only going to release the information to the people here listed. Anytime that you come into Lasers, please have your photo ID ready. The ladies at the front desk are checking photo ID, and this is for safety and security. They want to confirm that the person they are giving the information to is the person who is supposed to be getting that information. Laser's first priority is to protect you and to protect your private information. It sometimes can seem cumbersome, burdensome, but it is really in protection of you and your information. So we can only release to those people. In order for us to release to an agent on the power of attorney, a power of attorney must already be on file. So it must have already been received, reviewed, accepted, and on file. For those of you who don't want to visit in person and you want to request those documents, again, this is where your address being up to date is extremely important. Certain documents may be requested by phone. Phone requests, again, will be mailed or emailed only to the address that we have on file. If you submit a written request, we need the last four of your Social Security and your signature. Legal documents. Submitting legal documents is a little bit of a different process. We accept photocopies of a lot of documents, a lot of forms. Legal documents, we absolutely will not accept a photocopy. Legal documents must be a true certified copy, the original copy, an electronically certified copy. It has to be one of those. It cannot be faxed. It has to be the legal document. So you submit those by dropping them off in person or putting them in the mail. No legal document will be accepted that is faxed or that is a photocopy. I will tell you this. If you have a legal document that you are submitting to Lasers and you want to get that document back, there is a form on our website. It is an MSD50, Request for Return of Legal Document. You complete that form and you submit it with that legal document. We're going to hold your document for 90 days and then we're going to return it to you. If you do not request it, we're going to hold it for 90 days, process it, put a copy in your file, and shred it. Submit the MSD50. Let us return it to you. You had to get it in the first place. You just as soon get it back. And that's the way that Lasers is trying to, because we are requiring that true certified original or that true certified copy. That's our way of, we will give it back. We do just have to hold it for a certain amount of time so it can be processed, it can be accepted, and it can be put in the file. You need to allow approximately 10 business days for that to, any legal document to be processed. There are some exceptions to what are considered, I guess, legal documents that do not have to be in the original form, and that is things such as birth certificate, marriage license, Social Security card. You can submit those via fax, hand delivery, mail. We can take photocopies of those types of forms, death certificates. None of those have to be in that original format. Trey mentioned it earlier, and I will mention it again. One legal document worth addressing again before it's urgently needed is the power of attorney. So a power of attorney allows someone to act on your behalf while you're living. And as Trey said earlier, if we do not have a power of attorney on file, we cannot provide information to, we cannot speak to, we cannot send information to anyone, any other address, any other email address other than the retiree. So if you want, power of attorney, it's very important that you have that on file. It needs to be on file before you need it. Again, hand deliver your mail because it's a legal document, must be that certified copy. Power of attorneys will not be processed the same day. No legal document will be processed the same day. So you cannot come in with your power of attorney and say, hey, can you look at this power of attorney because I need to get an income verification for my sister. It takes time to process, it takes time to review, be accepted, and be put in your file. So no legal document, no power of attorney is going to be reviewed while you wait. So make sure that you're aware of that and just plan properly. A medical power of attorney will not be accepted by Lasers. To submit a power of attorney for that Lasers will acknowledge, it must specifically mention financial or retirement responsibility. On our website, under members forms, we do have a limited power of attorney that is specific only to Lasers processes, Lasers information. If you want to do that, you can go to our website, you can get that limited power of attorney form, complete it, have it signed, notarized, and submit that original notarized copy to us, and it will be on file for your agent of your power of attorney. If you have a power of attorney on file and you need to change the agent, then you have to submit an entirely new power of attorney. So those are just things to think about. And then finally, the circumstances that can affect your benefit when life changes. Life changes, right? Sometimes we know it's going to, and other times we have no idea that it's going to. If life changes happen, contact Lasers. Contact Lasers early and let Lasers know. And so let's begin with one of those life changes, and that is you retired and you elected to leave a lifetime benefit to a beneficiary. That beneficiary predeceases you, or you were happily married to that beneficiary at retirement and now happily divorced. No, I'm teasing, but it happens. So if you left a lifetime benefit to a beneficiary and that beneficiary predeceases you, contact Lasers, let us know. You cannot name a new beneficiary to receive a lifetime benefit, but we can pop you up from the option that you selected to the maximum benefit, and we'll pay you that maximum benefit for the remainder of your life. If you are divorced from your beneficiary, you contact us, you let us know. You don't name your cuter younger spouse the new beneficiary, but we will pop you up to an actuarially calculated maximum. That does require an actuarial calculation, so there is a $200 fee to have that processed. Another change that happens, and this is specific to our disability retirees, is that once you reach eligibility, you have the option to convert from disability retirement to regular retirement. Well, some of you have the option, others of you don't. If you went on disability retirement and you were an active member at the time of retirement, once you reach the age requirement to be eligible for regular retirement, Lasers will notify you. We will send you a letter and we will send you an estimate, and we will let you know that you have the option to change from disability to regular, and this is what the change will look like in your benefit. That's what the estimate will include. You'll have the option to make the change or not. If you retired on disability retirement and you have 20 years of service or more and you were not an active employee at the time that you retired on disability, then you don't have the choice. You will automatically be changed or converted from a disability retiree to a regular retiree. Again, we will send you the letter, we'll send you the estimate. There's still some action that you'll need to take, but you must convert to that regular retirement. You cannot stay on disability. Another life change is returning to work, because we all want to retire to return to work, right? It happens, and it happens for a number of reasons. Bored, your children came back with their children, financial, right? So there's lots of reasons. If you have retired from lasers and you are getting a benefit from lasers and you go to work in a non-lasers eligible position, lasers does not need to know about it. It does not matter to lasers. Continue to get your monthly benefit from lasers and get your payroll, get your earnings from your salary from that other job. If you go back in a lasers eligible position, then your benefit may be affected and there are choices that you will have to make. The human resource, if you go back to work for the state, not all jobs are lasers eligible, even just because they're with a state agency, right? So you have to find out if that position is lasers eligible or not. The human resource of that agency, that is who's going to advise you whether it's lasers eligible or not. If it is lasers eligible, you have to make a choice. It is extremely important that you make this choice and that form be submitted to us timely. If you're going back to work for a lasers eligible position, contact lasers early and find out the proper processes to make sure that your benefit isn't suspended unknowingly, or you don't continue to receive your benefit when you should not have and then owe lasers money, right? So contact lasers. There are choices that you make. You can either elect to continue to receive your retirement benefit from lasers, and from your job, you can earn in a fiscal year, July 1 to June 30, 50% of the annual benefit that lasers is paying you in retirement. If you did not participate in DROP or do IBO, you can return to state employment and you can regain lasers membership. You can pay lasers back everything that you've received in retirement plus interest. And this is why I like the in-person. I appreciate the online participants, but I can see the in-person heads just shaking. No. But if it happens, then you would regain membership as though you had never left, as though you had never retired. Or the third option is you suspend your benefit, you come back to state employment, you earn as much as the agency is willing to pay you. You pay contributions, you earn service credit. If you work less than 3 years, when you retire or when you leave, we'll start paying you your monthly retirement check, and we will refund you a one-time lump sum of the contributions you paid in while you were a rehired retiree. If you work 36 months or more as a rehired retiree, when you leave, we will calculate a supplemental benefit for those years, and we will add it to the benefit that you locked in when you originally retired. Also, you will accrue leave during that time as a rehired retiree, and when you leave, you would make an election as to what you wanted to do with your leave, like you did the first time that you retired. And then before we close, I've mentioned that DROP and IBO account for those of you that were eligible to retire January 1 of 2004 or later. Those DROP or IBO funds were sent to the Laser Self-Directed Plan at Empower. Those funds are administered outside of Lasers. For anything related to those funds, you need to contact Empower directly. At one time, we did ask you to contact Lasers if you needed to change your beneficiary. That's no longer the case. So anything that you need to do with If you wanted to do a withdrawal, if you wanted to change a beneficiary, then you contact Empower directly. You want to change the way that it's invested, contact Empower directly. Additionally, credit unions and insurance companies, if you have a deduction on your check and you need to make a change to that, you need to stop that, you need to contact that company, you need to contact that vendor, that credit union, that insurance company. You have to contact them and let them know, I need to make the change. Lasers cannot make the change. We do not have that control. We do not have that power. If you contact that company and request the change and they don't make it, again, Lasers can't make that change for you. So you definitely have to contact that company, that credit union, or that insurance company and make changes to those deductions from your retirement benefit. You can go on our website and you can go to our Lasers Partners and Vendors page, and it'll give you contact information for those credit unions and those insurance companies that we do set deductions up with. And then, before we go to questions, let's have 5 takeaways, right? What are we going to take away from this today? Keep your contact and your banking information up to date. It's just the best thing you can do for yourself and for Lasers. Use your personal email when you are creating that My Lasers account. Review your tax withholdings annually. Contact Lasers after a major life event or before returning to work. And make sure that a trusted, known person knows where your important documents are. So if you take nothing else away, take this away and check those withholding amounts. Make sure that person has that information to those documents, that they know where they are. Do we have any questions on anything discussed? Yes, ma'am.
I currently don't have one policy. The limited power of attorney. The limited power of attorney form, since I've never filled one out to submit to Lasers or anywhere else, can I assume assign more than one person in your, family or friends as power of attorney? And does it need a separate form for each person?
You can assign multiple power of attorneys. It would all have to be on that one form.
Is that what you can ask for? Have a copy of our record? After it's processed?
Sure, because that's a legal document. So it's that form MSD 50.
Yes, is there any need for a durable power of attorney? Or is the limited power of attorney you guys have sufficient?
For anything Lasers related, the limited power of attorney is sufficient to cover all things that someone would need to do, want to do on your behalf while you're living. So we don't need, if you have a formal power of attorney, a complete one, then you can definitely submit that to us. But if you'd like to have that power of attorney on file and you don't have a whole process or an attorney to create that power of attorney for you, then that limited one on our website is sufficient.
With the limited power, disability, I know that.
The question was, with the limited power of attorney, decline, cognitive decline, other types of ailments, does that negate the power of attorney? No, that's the exact reason that you have the power of attorney on file, is because if you have cognitive decline, if you can't sign a document for yourself, that power of attorney on file allows someone else to do that for you. I will say, though, that if you have a power of attorney on file, once you pass away, that power of attorney is no longer valid because you're no longer living, so they're not acting on your behalf as a retired member. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to the slide about what is tax exempt, it's always been that the Louisiana the lasers benefit was tax exempt regardless of whether you lived in the state or not, and then the IBO was taxable.
The lasers monthly retirement benefit is Louisiana state income tax exempt as long as you live in the state of Louisiana. If you move to another state, you have to abide by whatever that state ruling is. Texas doesn't have an income tax. So you move to Texas, it's Texas state income tax exempt. Mississippi has an income tax, so it would not be Mississippi state income tax exempt. It is not something that Lasers is going to withhold. We don't have the way to withhold it. It's just that you would be responsible for those state taxes, if applicable, when you file taxes at the end of the year.
Okay, and this is a follow-up question. So I've been filing non-resident Louisiana tax just because of my laser benefit. So chances are I probably don't even need to fill that in because I always thought it was being earned in Louisiana, but that changes everything. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can answer that problem.
You live in Louisiana?
Without me filing non-resident.
Yeah, that's not a question I can. That would be for a tax professional.
Okay.
So as far as the 2023 tax form change with the Form W-4P, how would you know what they were deducting before the change as opposed to what's happening now, the change? With the same deductions.
So I think the question is, if you completed a W-4P prior to 2023 and there's a deduction,
Didn't change it.
and you want to make another change, is that what you're asking?
No, you were saying that it changed in 2023.
So, and thank you for asking because I don't think I was very clear when I said this. If you completed your W-4P prior to 2023 and you were having a tax deduction, a tax withholding, and you have not made any change, you've not completed any W-4P at all since or before 2023, your deduction didn't change.
Okay, so the same amount is being taken.
Correct.
It didn't change.
Right. It is if you complete that W-4P today forward, and you put single and zero, married and two, then the way that the IRS calculates that. So if you have single and two right now, or married and two right now, and it's holding $100, if you complete this new W-4P and you put married and two, it might hold $200. And there's no way to know.
So if I don't do anything, it's just what it was prior to?
That's right. If you don't do anything.
Came now.
Right. And
Okay.
so this is only if you change your taxes after 2023 and you're banking on what the prior deduction was. Again, that was an IRS form change, tax table change, something that we absolutely had no control over on. Any online questions? All right. Well, thank you all very much. Jean's going to come back up, and I guess we're going to conclude this morning. Jean?
Thank you, Wendy, and all of our speakers this morning. I have a question. How many of y'all was it your first time attending? Awesome. Second time? Awesome. 35th time? we have a lot of people that we see every year, and I love it. And I love our online guests. I love seeing people every year. It's friendly faces, and it gives those of us sitting on the other side of the computer and everything some good hope that we will be here with you. So our partners are still here, still available to speak. If you have any questions, we are available. I want to thank you again for all the service that you put into the state of Louisiana. I know that the state employees thank you, and the public does thank you, despite what we might hear. And again, like, if y'all need anything, y'all need any lunch recommendations for the area, come and find us. And we're here to answer questions. So thank y'all for attending. We do have in your packet, we do have a survey. If you would complete that before you leave, you can drop it on the registration table. Or if you want to mail it in, that's fine. But we want to know what else we can do for you, what you want to see next year. If there's any better way that we can present anything, we're happy to help. Thank y'all very much.